I'm gonna hop into Bitcoin real quick so we can go through the levels before they're hit. Yeah, so really simple chart, guys. I have not changed the levels on this. You can see I have 3 alerts. These are actually just additional take profits for me on my long. You can see that I missed this one by $16. Really focusing on this gold pocket and Q2 low. But I've already gotten 3 take profits on this trade already from 16.6. So for me, it's one of those things where if I miss it by $15 or $16, I'll let the trade get invalidated, and it is what it is. We've already made some money on the trade, right? So in terms of where you're rejecting from, you're basically just front running the gold pocket right now. You can see you've got like a local high right over here that you haven't quite taken. This is kind of why I put my my next take profit where I did at 17,515. It's $1.50 above this local high. That's all it was. So I haven't seen a significant high in the order flow yet. I was watching on the millions chart yesterday, and there was nothing that really made me think that this was a significant high, that we won't come up and take the high again at some point after maybe some consolidation. The question is, where do we go wrong in this case? So I'm straight away looking at the high time frames. I think it would be a pretty big red flag if we start losing 17,174. And that's this level right here that we've been talking about for quite some time. You can see it was a perfect back test after we did flip the level here and a move into that resistance, and the same with like 16,611. So those are the 2 basic, breaker levels that I gave you guys a couple weeks ago. And I think losing, excuse me, sorry, I had energy drink this morning and I'm not used to the carbonation. But I think losing this level is kind of like your first big warning sign, because then you get a bounce from this, 16.8 region. And the question is, do you make a lower high, and is this coming back down like the bottom of the range? That could definitely happen. We just need to be ready for it if it does. Now, in terms of local stuff, you've got some very very easy price action, in my opinion. What time frame is that? Is that all of January? I bet that is all of January. Let me get rid of that real quick. Yeah, it is. So very simply put, gold pocket, golden mean ratio at the 382 here at 17,356, and looking down to the previous day point of control at 17,250, and that previous day low in Val right around this weekly swing failure pattern down here. So again, that 17,174 also showing you it's the bottom of yesterday's session, meaning that, yeah, if we were to come all the way through yesterday's session and lose this area, I think you'd fill this in and we'd probably come down to, that 16.8. And that's a big drop from where we are, in my opinion. So I'm not really looking for that just yet, but it's not out of the question by any means. So locally, you do have this gold pocket here at the previous day point of control. You did have a Dalton setup today. If you're in the group, you know exactly what that means. For anyone that doesn't know what that means, all you're doing is closing outside of the prior day session, getting acceptance back into it, and then we know the statistics of reaching the previous day point of control most of the time. I believe Max was watching this low for a potential swing failure pattern. To me, I think after you've already tapped it, there was your trade right there. You didn't quite reject from the daily open, but close enough. So it gave you a nice entry for this. So I was talking to one of the newer members in the group in the Bitcoin chat. I think he was looking for shorts like in this region, and we just hadn't quite made that high yet. And I was like, I'm really looking for that 17,500 to like $600 level still, which we pretty much got there. We front ran the actual gold pocket by like $60. You got the previous day high here. You had a really nice move above it. And then, order flow didn't really give me an entry, at least not on the volume chart. I don't know if Max had one potentially up there, but I did not. The only thing I can see now is just bear div on the 5 mil on this most recent move up before, nuking down into the range. But just from an invalidation standpoint, you've taken the high, closed below it, you even back tested it here on the 10-minute chart, right? So you can see you have a really nice back test here. And down you go. And then the daily open essentially is resistance here. Now, I think the gold pocket is likely just above this somewhere. I imagine it's coming in this region. But, for all intents and purposes, you're basically rejecting off the daily open here. So you're coming back to the day open. It's being defended. Can't reclaim it. All you've done is swung fail this local high even, and one would be the best trade is a short in this instance, even though it has order flow, in my opinion, hasn't given us an entry yet. No real sign of weakness outside of the potential bear div that did just play out a little bit here on local timeframes. So to me, it was very obvious yesterday as we were making our move. I think we were down in this region still I was telling you guys in that live that we have not done anything that warrants a sign of weakness yet. But however, I'm not looking to add any longs here to get the last of this move because, it's just not worth it unless you find like a specific intraday setup and your risk to reward is really good. You have a really tight invalidation. You can take trades like that, sure. You just have to understand that, if you're not doing that, just YOLOing into a long position is not a good idea when you're this close to resistance. And it's not a good idea to just start shorting blindly either, because we don't know what's going to happen when we get up to that resistance. So, it's better just to gauge the reaction and wait. And I think this gave you a couple different entries if you wanted it in terms of a short today. So Bitcoin, basically previous day high would have been the best entry, stop loss above the new daily high. Or you could have came back to this right here and shorted the swing fail of this local high. Basically, once you've swung failed this high, all you're looking to do is see the daily open be lost and then down into the previous day range. So first target is always going to be your prior day average or the pivot, however you refer to it. It doesn't matter to me. That's all it is the average of the prior day session, 17,356. And then you're looking down to this gold pocket at like 17,250 to 17,266 would be the next target. Invalidation on that's going to be, again, stop loss above the local high or above the day open, however you want to do it. And you're looking to fulfill these targets. And it's not a death sentence to the rally by any means. I do think on a higher, broader time frame, when you look at this, this is one of those things where I saw it the other day. I can't remember who it was. It was one of the bigger creators. They do a lot of the pattern trading. They were calling this an ascending triangle, which I'm not a huge fan of patterns, but you can definitely kind of see how it's forming. I don't particularly like it as an ascending triangle because you're spending so much time filling out the bottom here and not coming back up to the high and filling out the mid range. So maybe if it is an ascending triangle, we get that quick move up and then you spend some time filling this out a little bit more. I don't know what the volume profile looks like on that either. Let's take a peek. Yeah, you can see that you've got a pretty heavy volume profile to the downside, meaning you can see we've spent a majority of our time down here, right? Let's say that you guys wanted this to be an ascending triangle. You're really going to need to spend some time filling this section of the chart out, making it a little bit more balanced. So I would imagine that if we did get that secondary push up into this resistance zone, you've got a daily naked point of control, your quarter one pivots up here, daily swing failure pattern from the local high on the shark. You're probably going to root around and trade above 16.8 for a while. You're going to have to stay above 16.8, fill this out, put in some kind of accumulation, so to speak. Maybe there's a stray wick down into this like daily or yearly open, excuse me, but I wouldn't want to live down there too long because I think once you flip 16.8-ish, give or take, right here, this like weekly NPOC, this isn't a very good looking profile for continuation to the upside. I mean, I know that the structure is here, but it's an extreme sign of weakness, in my opinion, if you were to come all the way back down to the range lows. And we talked about this with these two lows right here, where we said, if we take these lows, I'm really not looking for that third swing failure pattern. I'm looking to probably take this low and challenge into this one, which I don't see any reason why we wouldn't make a new low in that instance. So I think holding on to this region of the chart, which we've discussed previously, is going to be pretty paramount for the overall rally. And like I said, I am still holding long because there's no reason to close that long just yet. But you are going to want to hang on to this, and you can extend this over and just look at price action. And you can see why. This is your last market structure range in terms of consolidation. So if you find your way back inside of this range, what are you likely to do? Well, you're very likely to start targeting some of these lows that did not get taken. You don't have, you're just building up stop losses all the way up. And so that's when you get that cascade effect. You start losing that ground. Those guys end up getting stopped out. They're forced out of their positions, et cetera, et cetera. So they're forced to sell, right? And if you have incoming sell pressure at the same time because it's a sign of weakness or whatever it may be, maybe there's some news catalyst. That's how a move like that can get out of hand. Just like to the upside, though, we've talked about this. I do think, if you flip this like gold pocket region all the way up to like 17.8, this area of the chart, I think if this gets flipped to support, or 18.1, if we're being really impulsive, is taken out, I think there's a good chance you could come up to this, 19K region fairly quickly. I think that's a fairly quick move in that instance. But for now, I would like to see this come up here, maybe take these local highs at some point, but I think we're going to consolidate around between box to box, fill out this profile more. And that would look healthier to me if we were looking at this in terms of like a triangle, and if we were just to draw it up how I'm sure everyone in the space is drawing it something like this, right? Is what we're looking at. And so you can see that would also give us a little more time in here. You want to fill this out, hang on to this level of support, and things look good then. That would look good to me. But otherwise, it's level to level, guys. No significant high in terms of order flow, in my opinion, has been put in. I think Max will probably go over that. He may differ in opinion. I don't know. So we'll see. I haven't spent too much time on the chart today, but that's the analysis. It's pretty much the same analysis we've been giving you guys. It's just now the levels are a little more relevant because we're actually hitting some of them now. We spent a few weeks going pretty sideways and boring. So yeah, that's all I've got, and keep it short.